Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today I'm going to be looking at Netflix's His House, directed by Remy Weeks and starring Sorp Derizu, Wunmi Musaku, and Matt Smith. If I've mispronounced any of those names, I do have to apologise profusely, but this follows a couple of refugees who are given this house to start a new life in London, but unfortunately for them, there are some spooky happenings within this house that lead them to question whether they should stay or not. Before I get into this review, if you do like what I do on this channel, consider clicking the like button, subscribing to the channel, and letting me know what you want to see on the channel coming up, as we have a long lockdown ahead of us, so I have all the time in the world for suggestions. But without further ado, let's get into this review. So first and foremost, I have to say this is probably my favourite spooky movie of the year. This film balances perfectly horror elements and political elements. There are a few different dynamics in this that are very effective and blend so well within this setting. But I do have to mainly talk about the spooky stuff to start off with, because the first thing that I have to shout out is the fact that this film manages to jump scare you without using the generic jump scares. The amount of times the framing dictates you to look past the actors on screen into the darkness behind them. All the subtle movements that you see that don't end up leading anywhere in particularly, leading you to question where the scare is going to come from. There are several times where you expect it to come from one scenario, but it ends up coming from a completely different scenario. And I just love the fact that they show us these creepy goings on without having to insist on loud noises or very high tension built music. This is very much carried by the actors on screen. Some of my favourite moments are just doors opening in the background that are out of focus, but you are convincing yourself something is going to come from there. And I do love the way they use the setting. There are several little elements about the set design that really helps this film go a long way in terms of the spooky factor. The fact that the majority of this horror is told through a wall with a few holes in it just shows how clever this was in utilizing its space. You are constantly wondering where the mysterious figures are going to be. There are some occasions where you just see figures, but there's no real attention brought to them. You just happen to notice them. It reminded me very much akin of the film Lights Out, where there are several shots where you see the demon, but it's not expected to see him, and there's no loud noise or big camera trickery to make you look that direction. It's just there, and that is enough to send the chill down your spine. Hereditary does it very well. It's just very fun how they manage to utilize the horror elements in this. This is a classic haunted house scenario, but maybe not in the way that you think, and I have to give this film all the praise in the world for it. I also have to give a big shout out to the dynamic between our two leads in this. On the one side, you have one of them who is trying his hardest to blend in with the local community, to get up to speed with the culture to the point where he forces himself to sing in with some football fans in a pub. It's just his way of trying to say, this is our home now, we've been through a lot, we need to integrate within this culture. And on the flip side, you have this other character who's uncomfortable with where they are, and they want to embrace their own culture and not forget it. So there's a nice dynamic of riding that line between abandoning your culture and also adapting to this new culture. There's a middle ground that they have to try find, and both these characters are complete flip sides of that scenario, and it's just so good to see it play out. I also have to shout out the big twists and turns that take place within this. It is really well done how things are unraveled. You have a feeling there is something going on, but when they come at you with that slap in the face moment, it is, at least for me, it was unexpected. I thought I knew where it was going, but it did a curveball on me and sent me in a completely different scenario. It's sort of you're going through that same timeline, but there's always that one key difference that makes it completely different in its meaning and its scenario. And that leads into the big theme of this film, which is respecting your culture as well as grief. This film plays heavily with the film of grief. It is felt throughout this, and just seeing the way that these two characters cope with their grief in these different ways. One electing to try and block it out, while the other one, their whole being is sucked in with this grief that they can't comprehend, potentially adapting to the world around them while this weight is on their shoulders. The two actors in this are fantastic, and even Matt Smith does a good job for the small amount of time he's in screen. But the two main leads in this are by far the carriers of this film, and this film is really helped by the set design, as I've already stated, and some very clever set pieces, one including a certain dinner scene. It's just really well executed, and you believe everything that is happening could be real because you are conditioned to buy into the culture these two have come from. So when you figure out what's going on, it is no surprise, and it's a very nice twist on the classic haunted house tale. Overall, His House for me is a very fun spook house movie. It is easily my second favourite horror movie of the year, just behind Invisible Man. It deals with a lot of themes, including grief and culture and adaptation. It uses the set it's in very well. It is very clever with its camera angles. The actual CG and special effects on these creatures and these monsters that they are seeing is really well done. Not once did I feel like anything I was looking at was overtly fake. I wouldn't say it's amazing. I don't know what it is. There is something about it just holds it back for me a little bit, but I couldn't for the life of me tell you the exact reason why. I guess there are a couple of small logic leaps that I can forgive, but I also question. But as much as I had fun with it, it didn't really scare me. It was a very well crafted story movie that had horror elements in it, and the horror elements were very well done and very well made, but not once did I feel genuinely terrified that something bad was going to happen to these characters, or these characters would cause harm to each other. With that being said, I'm going to have to say that His House for me is a good cup of tea. So His House, have you seen it? If you have, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Again, if you like what I do on the channel, consider clicking on the like button and subscribing to the channel for more reviews coming all the time. Until next time, guys, my name is Josh. I've been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you for watching, and thank you for making it to the end of the video. While you are here, if you haven't done it yet, please feel free to drop a like and consider hitting that subscribe button for more reviews coming all the time. And also, while you are here, there are some other videos over there that you might want to sink your teeth into. Have a good day, guys, and do enjoy.